Howdy folks, Jeremy Boring, Declaration Entertainment, sitting with my good friend and writing partner, John Bickley, and we're talking about the script we're working on, which is one of the first Declaration projects. It's called The Arroyo, and it's it's really a modern American Western. It's a kind of classic story. It takes place on the Arizona-Mexico border, but it deals with something really topical, and that's the lawlessness and the human trafficking and drug smuggling that goes on there on the border. It's kind of a thriller, a Western thriller.
Yeah, I'd say so. The movie stars a man named Jim Weatherford, sort of an average guy that's lived real close to the border with his family. He's got a wife and a 12-year-old boy.
Yep.
And he's just really trying to make a life for himself. And I think, I feel like we've been trying to focus on really the sense that the border is moving towards him all the time and that he can't escape the sort of fallout from a lot of the lawlessness on that border.
Yeah, you said something great when we very first started, and you know, John and I had worked on a script before a couple of years ago, and when we had the idea of working on this one together to sort of be one of the first Declaration projects, we tossed the ball back and forth about what that kind of project might be. We talked to our buddy Bill Whittle, who's one of the co-founders of Declaration, and we really all agreed that the border is such a dynamic and interesting story, and it is directly impacts everyone in America, but especially the people who live along it. And one of the great things that you said right there at the beginning was borders exist wherever no matter how many times you fall back, that just redefines where the border is, and the border continues to encroach and encroach. And from a spiritual point of view for the character, I think there's this feeling that no matter how much he gives,
right,
the problem doesn't stop. And like many Americans and many Westerns before, he decides to quit giving. He decides to draw the line.
Well, and that's exactly what happens in the first act. I mean, he finds a body on his property, and we immediately realize, I mean, the problem's coming to him. He's not going to the problem, and it's a matter of defending himself. And we move quickly into introducing a character that's kind of an old, what do you call it, curmudgeon.
Yeah.
And he's starting to sort of
probably
get
to be played by Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
If we can cast Bill, age him up a little bit, he'd be the perfect.
Right. Anyway, and the troubles of the border come and literally lay him flat, and Weatherford has to respond.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I think that one of the fun things about working on it is really immersing ourselves in what actually goes on the border and learning a lot about it. And it's just shocking. I mean, I think that no matter what we say in fiction, we've actually had to pull back in the writing, because if you actually say what goes on down there, I think it defies imagination. People won't be able to accept it, the level of lawlessness and the kind of pressure and threat that these ranchers and their families are up against. Not necessarily because the people crossing the border are bad people. Most of them are good people looking for a better life, but a lot of the sort of nefarious organizations that are driving that traffic on the border are so bad. And we've gotten to create this great character, the sort of classic bad guy, the refined and polished assassin type character who's Torres enforcing the will of the cartels.
You know, and I think that, like you're saying, having a lot of characters that are really from the other side of the border, that are, you can see the very genuine desire for a better life that they're seeking. We tried to make sure to work that into the script and show a lot of the angles. I mean, it's such a complex situation. It's not like it's a two-sided situation. It's a multi-sided.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like some of the characters, like the Juan Carlos character, who's sort of forced into trafficking, being a mule for one of the coyotes, is part of that mission that we've had.
Well, at the end of the day, we've tried to keep it very human and to tell an honest human story, and it's a human tragedy. At the end of the day, it's not. I mean, the movie has politics, but it's not actually a political statement. The movie, I don't feel like it's just examining the lives of the various people dealing with what life is like down there. So, in the movie, Jim Weatherford is sort of a quiet man, goes about his business, and as John said, the problem comes to him. The cartels, sort of right out of the headlines, the cartels have started to set up looking posts, 30 to 40, in some cases 80 miles on the American side of the border, where they can watch these vast pieces of land for authorities and for law enforcement, and they just coordinate this massive influx of drugs across the border.
They've in fact set up a post on his neighbor's property, which is something that's, like Jeremy's saying, is very real, happens all the time, and we're not even, this is what, 30, 40 miles off the border. This isn't an extreme example.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's starting to realize how serious the situation is. He finds a body.
Can't get any help from law enforcement because, frankly, there's more police officers here in LA than there are border agents on the entire 2,500-mile border. So they just literally are outgunned. They don't have. It really is a frontier, like the classic Western. The law enforcement are outgunned by the people they're supposed to be wrangling. So I guess Weatherford decides he's not going to suffer it, not going to allow his family and his friends and his way of life, and frankly, even the poor migrants themselves continue to be abused on his land.
Yeah, the hero Jim Weatherford's really an average American in many ways. We try to make him a representative of sort of the vast, quiet majority.
Yeah, former special forces, fought in the first Gulf War. Not really political, keeps to himself, works hard, expects other people to work hard, is generous, soft-spoken. When he speaks, though, people listen, I think, because he carries with him the sort of authority of the quiet man who doesn't go looking for trouble.
And I think his military training comes in, obviously, to be very, very important. But part of it's just that he's got a high standard ethically. He's got a very black and white sense of
yeah, you know what's great, I think, is that
the world. And
it's not that he was in the military that makes him a good man. It's he was a good man, and so he was in the military. I mean, I think that these ethics are the ethics that have driven him his whole life. They're deeply rooted, deeply connected to the land that's probably been in his family for generations, and he has the ability, when push comes to shove, to enforce his ethic, and he feels like on his territory, on his land, that he has the right to sort of draw the line and make sure that things happen the way he thinks they ought to happen. He feels a real responsibility for what happens to people.
Right. And from that responsibility, we see that the individual is really capable of doing a lot. I mean, I think that's one of the arguments of the film. It's that in the end, we're a country of individuals, and he really represents the capable, good-intentioned
American man.
American man. Yeah.
But one of the things that we worked really hard on in the script is to make sure that there's an authenticity, a sense of authenticity to everything that happens, that the people drive the kind of cars they would drive, they talk the way that they would speak, and they carry the kind of weapons that they would carry. I mean, Weatherford, just as an example, I mean, he doesn't have RPGs and can't call in airstrikes. You know, he's using his breech brake shotgun that he's probably been shooting quail with his entire life, or his deer hunting rifle. He's using the tools at hand.
Well, and the tools that a lot of Americans have in their own homes and use to survive. I mean, use to get food with and hunt with their friends with and protect themselves and their homes with. I think it's fun. We've got the boy, the 12-year-old boy, has his quail gun, and
that was important.
At some point, he's got to use it, doesn't he?
That was important to me. I didn't want the boy to have to get his dad's gun when it came time to defend himself. You know, the boy living on the border, or even you and I growing up, we had our own guns.
Absolutely.